Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, the Manga Man here, and today we're talking about One Piece, specifically chapter 1005 and 1006. It's a double bill. I did miss last week's shenanigans work. It's one of those things, unfortunately. So without further ado, let's get into this review. So, chapter 1005, realistically, I don't want this video to be so long. So I will try to be as brief as I can with chapter 1005. And due to the chain of events, it does make that a little bit easier. But if you want a detailed analysis or detailed review, definitely check out Sawyer 7 Mage. It's crazy how similar he kind of breaks things down and the alignment of thoughts that he has with myself. So I'm a fan. If you want detail, check him out. This will be a summary more than it will be an overall review. As always, all links will be in the description below, including my subreddit, Instagram, Twitter. Twitter is always good, especially if you're not getting the notifications, as I'll literally post on there the link as soon as it's uploaded. So let's get into it. Anyway, realistically, this chapter is basically around Sanji and the crew. Now, if you kind of break down what essentially happens, there's a few things. Number one, Sanji gets his face knuckle dusted up. And then there's different perspective that is around this, whether it's people watching close by or whether it's people in and around the area because of the announcement. So there's a few things. Number one, Black Maria knuckle dustering up means Haki shenanigans, so she might not necessarily be that way inclined, possibly in the armament section. She might be better at the observation, so that's interesting. The fact that the people that are not familiar with Sanji and the crew react the way they do is very typical of what you would think. Oh, he's a coward, or what's he doing? You know, it's a trap. Blah de blah de blah de blah. But the people that know Sanji, that know the crew, it's interesting because like even Nami's like, oh, he must be fighting a woman. They know what's going on. They know he wouldn't call for help if he didn't need to. Even Marco the Phoenix says something along the lines, oh, they're interesting. So it's funny that, you know, the differing views are dependent on if they know the crew or not. And also I like the chapter because whilst showing everyone's reactions, we got to see what people are doing. We saw from Law's crew, we saw what Marco was doing, we saw what Chapo was doing, we saw what people from Killer's crew, Kid's crew was doing, sorry. And it's a nice little update. Essentially what happens is we find out that basically she's not gonna let him go. She beats him more because she wants him to love her, and we see some people getting tortured already. And he's like, "No, I love all the ladies." Typical of Sanji, is perfectly in place. And there was like an element where we talk about Haki, where basically he can't armor himself up. And that's ultimately going back to the whole idea of will. It's so ingrained in him that he can't hurt a woman, that he can't even put his woman Haki up. And it's perfectly normal, perfectly understandable. I have no problems with that. The only thing I want to see though is him have a good fight, and I'm really hoping that happens next. He's taken such a beating over the last couple of arcs, and I'm really looking forward to some Sanji fanboys getting the win, because Zoro's looking so cool. Ace is, Luffy's looking so cool. We need some Sanji feats now, because I'm a fan of the Monster Trio. I'm not a Zoro fanboy over a Sanji fanboy. I'm a Straw Hat fanboy. So, you know, we really need other people to shine, and I'm guessing we're gonna see that. Sanji is still Sanji though, because when Brook breaks him free off the ice, straight away he goofs up and Robin's like, "Thank you," and he goes hits the ice. So Robin and Brook basically come to save him, which sets up a fight between Black Maria, Robin, and Brooke, and then whoever the other female people around are, including Cayman Lady. And then we see that Momo and Shinobu and Yamamoto have discovered the cyborg, and they're now breaking free. And then Jack's that's heading there in that direction. He's basically heading for the 9 Scabbards, and that's where Sanji is potentially going as well. The one thing I did find interesting was the fact that basically we saw that Black Maria had a pinwheel demon weapon, and in some translations one yuru, but it's given a name Soul Taker or Soul Eater versus the Soul King. It's basically a battle of the underworld, and ultimately they're gonna fight. Black Maria is gonna be dealing with Robin, and Robin's gonna be Gigantomanu Spunk like she did in this chapter. And obviously she's an assassin, so she came out of nowhere. Brilliant chapter as always. Wish I could talk more about it. But that's the chapter. Let's get on to chapter 1006. Chapter 1006. A little bit of a sadder chapter for me, I found, especially the way it ended. Well, let's just go through the chain of events and we'll kind of talk about it a little bit. And it will be a little bit short in terms of a summary, but I apologise next time when I do the next chapter review, which we're finding out that it's no break next week. Should hopefully be next week. I'll put more detail into it. That being said, let's kind of go through the chain of events and see what happens. So, Yamato and Shinobu are being tracked because they want to see where Momonosuke is, and it's getting projected all around Onigashima. We see Sanji. He's basically taken care of fodder, and he asks the person, where from the location we were just given, where is that from here? And he realizes he's got to make a choice now, because he can either go to where the 9 Scabbards are and where Jack's potentially going, or he can help somebody called Master Yamato. And this is something Soy7 mentions is in 1005 chapter, that it'll be good to introduce Sanji to Yamato if she's going to be a character that goes with them down the line. So that is going to be a potential plot point. But the whole thing with the Jack and potentially the 10th silhouette is interesting. So it could go one of two ways. We could see we probably won't see the silhouette for a while, and we just see Sanji meet Yamato, and then that gets picked up later. Or Sanji makes a choice to deal with the Scabbards first, and then we see them two team up. Because ultimately we don't know, and Oda loves his shadowing out of characters, so outlining them. So we don't know how that's going to go, but it's interesting regardless. But it's going to be something that's going to tie in hopefully in the next couple of chapters. Yeah, we don't see the shadow, by the way. Anyway, moving on. The next bit was again kind of sad because I actually really liked Pedro as a character. Not so much of a fan of Kara. I guess she's cute and, the whole chopper thing. But he's into Wonder and, potentially for Straw Hat and that sort of thing, because they haven't got a mink on their crew yet. So we see Perospero's fight. Well, the outcome of it against Kara, and he's basically wiped the floor with her. He says Sulong form was tough, and he's basically throws her to a side saying, "You upstarts, I'll show you how we do business." And we see a flashback of Pedro in Kara's memory, which is meant to be emotional, but I'm more emotional about the Pedro thing than Pedro's link to her, because I'd rather she blew herself up rather than Pedro. But obviously Pedro was damaged. Short time left, he felt his moment was right. There's a lot of storytelling narrative there. He did what he could, but this ultimately means Kara's going to have a factor to play later on when she's motivated to continue the good fight. The concern is the next bit, which is to do with Marco. Now Marco is putting in work regardless, and it's impressive to see that he's holding his own against two Sweet Commander, Yonko Commander, all-star caliber people of King and Queen, but it is taking its toll. He's fatiguing. It's something that Perospero mentions as well, and he's lurking, he's turking, he is twerking to kill Marco. I really don't want to see that to happen, but there's a good chance it could, and I don't want it. And that might be the negative thing, other than the other thing at the end that's going to happen, that's going to end this act, and I don't want it to be the death of Marco, or the person I'm talking about in a bit. Having said that, there could be a curveball here, and Perospero might help Marco defeat them too. I don't know which one's more likely, but it is an option. it's just a concern. We'll worry about that later. Anyway, the next part, which happens in two sections, because Marco's bit is sandwiched in between in terms of the the order of the chapter panels, but we see Hyogoro and Drake have a conversation, and there's like a whole thing where they're fighting, and essentially this ice demon Oni plague has kind of revitalized his power, but he knows that eventually his time's gonna run out, and he kind of contemplates what would have happened if Odin and him at their primes took down Kaido at that time, but he kind of laments about that thought, and then he thinks about how he found a new pupil in Luffy, and teaching him haki and that sort of thing. And he talks to the other underground mafia leaders, and he says, "Look, if I do turn, kill me, because I'm gonna start killing people indiscriminately." And he's really ready to take that sacrifice. And it's a negative thing, because really time is of the essence really right now, and we see that Chopper's working on it, and it's like he's ready to die, and then the chapter ends, and I'm like, damn, gotta wait till next week to find out. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna find out, but I don't really want him to die, because he does a one sword style that they said isn't good enough anymore, and he whoops them, and I love it. And I was thinking that what's his link to do with Vista from the Whitebeard Pirates? Was he from Wano at one point? I know he was there before, but did he learn from Hyogoro at any point? There's so many different things, and I need him alive to find out. Even if it isn't any likelihood. But the fact that we've seen a one sword style, Itoryu, flower style, means I want to know more. I don't want him to die. We're gonna have to wait till next week, and it's gonna be a long week. But as always, thank you for getting this far. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Follow the links in the description below, and I'll see you next time. Peace.